Wow, what a start here in this second day at the Blizzard Heroes of the Storm Regionals here, of course. I mean, whatever Virtus.pro put in their breakfast, I want to have some of that because that was amazing. They completely turned it around and balanced things out here compared to that first day. Jay-How, what do you have to say about that glorious first game?
It's like a completely different team, guys. I mean, the Virtus.pro we saw at the first of yesterday versus what we see the first of today, it's so different. They played that so well. I mean, when things got rough, they turned it around and they had the composition, they had the mindset to be able to counter anything that mYinsanity was throwing at them.
Yeah, definitely underestimated them here. It's a real shocker, actually, the way they did it. It looked confident, it was controlled, it looked like nothing like the bungling about of yesterday. And yeah, they did it. They had what I thought was a good draft, but they really used it in a way that I didn't think was possible against mYinsanity. Well done.
It's Team Liquid all over again. Same thing that we saw from Team Liquid yesterday is happening with Virtus.pro. I have to admit, I'm very happy with that result, since Virtus.pro is able to redeem themselves, and they now have shown that they can take mYinsanity down. And for mYinsanity, this has to be a wake-up call, because one more map and they are out.
Yeah, nobody would have actually believed that it would go that far for mYinsanity because, as Calder said, one more loss and the reigning Europe champion is, of course, no longer in this tournament. And Jay-How, replay number 1 is ready.
Well, here's a couple things that we saw, throughout the game, as we'll go ahead and pause it real quick so we can see what's going on. Darkmok down here, he's continuing to harass, but the rest of his team is up here trying to come in. And this is something that we saw a lot of. Look at Falstad right here. We'll roll it forward. You can see what happened. You're going to see the Entomb. It catches one, but every single time the Mighty Gust would come out. The good thing is, positioning-wise, let's go ahead and keep an eye on Nurok down here, because this is where the big maul is going to come in. Captures 3 people, and now Splendor and Darkmok. Splendor trying to keep him alive, but the barrel pushing him away. Pause it real quick, because this is where something happens. Look, we see the ping right here. It says, I'm on my way, and you're going to see Darkmok try and come in. Remember, he went heavy impact at 16. He's looking to stun, but it's a little bit early as we roll it forward here. He's going to land it, and he doesn't land it on time, and so he misses the stuns. They do manage to pick off one, but a little bit of a misplay there. You're going to see power go down, but that was some of the missteps that mYinsanity had along the way. If he had managed to do that, look at this. Rhaegar just barely survived. Imagine if they were stunned there, the triple stun follow-up, and that was a tough moment for them to turn it around.
Yeah, I think Falstad and Rhaegar would have died. We wouldn't have needed that Muradin chase. Yeah. That would be 3 kills, and it would change a lot about the game, wouldn't it?
That was a huge moment. I mean, it was just like, that's the difference between, what, a quarter second and a half second, and right there, I mean, it was just, if they had done that, I think that game would have looked completely different.
Something that really baffled me was that we've seen good Maws, and we also saw great Entombs, but they just never were able to lock down targets of Virtus.pro and kill them. On the flip side, though, they lost heroes once again in the early game. Very uncommon for mYinsanity.
The C chain was definitely on the side of the opponent. Again, we saw that ETC and Kalthas combo. On top of that, the Mighty Gust was a brilliant disengage every time the Entomb came in. And Chen had a huge impact. And we talked about that problem for Charism with the cleanse. There was just too much to cleanse out as well. You have the Gravity Labs coming in. There is the ETC power slide. You have to be careful about the mosh pit that you can maybe save one of the heroes. The Keck comes in. So there's so many things that he has to really be cautious about. He couldn't just he couldn't just save his allies the entire time.
Yeah, and I think replay number 2 is ready, Jay-How, so why don't you do your thing?
Well, here's the thing, and we'll look at positioning one more time. Let's go ahead and pause it real quick so we can look at the positioning. This is what Wolf had pointed out. They came from the bottom, and we're going to see Andy come in, and he's going to get caught out. But the main thing, again, is going to be based around. Now, we talked about a little bit of misplay, but we got to talk about how well Virtus.pro went. Let's go ahead and roll it forward, because we're going to see Andy get caught here. But the Ancestral comes in right on time, perfect. But at the same time, let's pause it. Guess who's down here just trying to poke away Hasuabs? Andy is going to fall, but we'll roll it forward here real slow, because I want to try and break this down, because they're still in a good position. They have a nice barrier here. They do lose one, but they've got a certain person. Blumby is in deep. And now we have Hydra here. Watch Chen. He's going to continue to follow up. Splendor in the middle. This is Karazim. He relies on being close. And we see the power slide come in, and that was the capitalization from Virtus.pro. So it's not just about what mYinsanity might have had slip-ups. It's about how well Virtus.pro played. And mYinsanity, they can't feel frustrated by that, because every time a fight seemed to be going in the way of mYinsanity, Virtus.pro was able to turn it around and force them back. You can see they're continuing to put the pressure on, and they had the right composition for it. When things got rough, they had Falstad, they had Mighty Gust, and it just seemed like a really good game for Virtus.pro.
The fight at the top also made sure that the keep at the bot lane fell.
Yes.
So that was another rotation that they made. They got the keep in the mid lane, and you can argue that the move to the top immediately is a bit risky. Since they're bypassing the tower, they're bypassing the keep. They are really hoping for Chen and Falster to keep them safe if that happens. But with them putting the pressure to the top lane, they make sure that mYinsanity has to abandon bottom, and all of a sudden 2 keeps are down. If they don't get wiped there, they find themselves in a great spot.
Now, what worries me a little bit is that, mYinsanity, they had a couple of comfort picks in their lineup here. They had Splendor on Kharazim, Blumbi on Muradin, Nuruk on Zagara, and those are all heroes that they normally like to play, and they play them very well. Does it also worry you a little bit that they weren't able to succeed with that lineup against Virtus.pro?
Well, I was looking at that draft, and the Devouring Mauls were on point. They were really great. But I think what mYinsanity was lacking a little bit was redundancy. There was about one way that they could have the fight go, and Tomb starts, they get gusted away, and then it's all about the Maul and the follow-up. Generally speaking, when you start with a Mosh Pit or Devouring Maul, you would like to follow up with some pretty heavy-hitting burst. Flame Strike, Chain Bombs, something from Jaina, we don't see a lot anymore.
Yeah.
All they really had to follow up with damage was Tychus, which is kind of sustained damage. So they really missed like a great combination with Devouring Maul. If they just go a little bit more solid in their draft, a little bit less weird, like second Leoric, I think mYinsanity can win by experience, possibly.
Yeah, that's a great point you make there. There just wasn't enough oomph following that Devouring Maw, of course, here. Now, the cards are shuffled anew, though, because we're now playing on Cursed Hollow. And mYinsanity, they have to show us that they are still the team that we saw at the Summer Championship.
Do you think that after yesterday, dealing with Abathur and Lost Vikings, are like, listen, we want to keep this kind of normal. Let's just go ahead and first ban Abathur. We'll deal with whatever else you want to throw at us.
I think it's one of the reasons. Another reason, which is probably the higher priority, is that they make sure that there's no chance for double Greymane to face them. But I really believe that after what the Team Liquid did to them, they just want to make sure that it's going to be as standard as it possibly can be.
I just wonder, because there's 4 heroes I think that a lot of people look at early on. Kael'thas, Greymane, Falstad, and possibly Li Ming on this map. But it mostly revolves around the first 3. Greymane being a huge one. That way, if somebody on Virtus.pro decides they want to go something like a Kael'thas or a Falstad, Greymane gets that back line, and it makes what seems like a great pick early sometimes a little bit more risky. So I'm actually a little surprised mYinsanity didn't go Falstad, but we see it on the other side by Virtus.pro, who is a great hero on this map.
Now, guys, do you want to see the Vikings on the side of mYinsanity? Because they can play that hero very well, too.
This is true.
They're not as attractive against Falstad because he's got double tools to deal with them. He can delay. Wow, you do it anyway. Okay. I was just thinking, Falstad's one of the primary Vikings hunters, and he can also delay his arrival to the tribute to deal with the soak a little bit. And nonetheless, they're going with him anyway.
That was actually a rhetorical question. I did not expect this. But yeah, you've got a valid point there, Grubby. Falstad, ever so deadly. He just flies into a lane, kills a Viking very swiftly. Also, a great counter to the Vikings, of course, is Zeratul, but we haven't seen that hero in the tournament so far at all.
It's really surprising. Zeratul, I think, is one of those heroes that tends to come out when you get to the bigger events, and then he just kind of takes over. He has one of the highest win percentages of any hero during competitive play. It's just he doesn't get played a lot.
I think that's because you only bring him out when you know, like, he's going to work. Like, you don't bring him out any whichever situation.
I'm really wondering if Virtus.pro is actually worried about this right now, since they already have the Falstad. They could also decide to just play it a bit more push-heavy. We've seen a lot of teams going into Sylvanas, and on Cursed Hollow you can also play her. I mean, you don't have the objective to really push with in that sense. There's no Immortal, no Punisher to be had. But if you're just trying to apply the early pressure and make sure that your opponent suffers for using the Vikings there, you can put her in play. Zeratul is something that mYinsanity is also worried about. You just talked about it, so they are considering banning him. If the Vikings are hunted, then that would definitely be a problem. And Zeratul as a ban makes just sure that they are a bit safe on the map now.
Yeah, I play a lot of Vikings, and it's okay against one Zeratul or one Falstad, but when it's like Dahaka, Falstad, Zeratul, it gets really difficult to make a big impact in the game. The Tyrande ban was very clever as well, as generally with Vikings, you care a little bit less about self-sustain and more just about raw, brutal pick-off power and damage. And Tyrande, she can cancel the tribute acquisition, she can scout, which helps with the ganks, and she is more of a high damage support.
I wondered if they were going to try and go into something like Li Ming to be able to have have that burst damage to be able to have that poke, but at the same time, if the Vikings do get involved in a fight, obviously that can help with the resets. But at the same time, you're looking at Greymane. So I kind of was wondering if they were going to go that. If they do, obviously they look at somebody like Tassadar to be able to have those shields to help survive that Greymane dive. And I think it's the biggest thing is like when you have Li Ming, Falstad on the back line, like Greymane can blow up anyone, and if he go for the throw and gets that reset, he can blow up both real quick.
But I'm a little bit worried about taking Tassadar here. Are they planning to solo Tassadar him? I think maybe.
Against the Greymane, I don't think so.
Double support, though, against Vikings is a little bit weak because you need to have fights happen fairly fast. You don't want to go for a sustain comp. So I am personally worried about that. We will see whether that actually
I would have
comes
loved
about.
the Rhaegar here. They leave Rhaegar for mYinsanity now, and Rhaegar with Vikings is just exceptionally good. It's one of the best healers that you can have in that sense. Karazim would also come to mind, of course, but picking Rhaegar away and going for the Rhaegar over the Tassadar would have been a smart choice, in my opinion.
Yeah, because the #1 support with Vikings is Tyrande, #2 is Rhaegar.
Yeah. And now Li Ming is also like, it's interesting actually when you talk about with Vikings players about Li Ming, because the argument is of course every time Li Ming gets a ton of resets thanks to the Vikings being killed off quite easily. But any good Vikings player is immediately going to tell you, well, if I use my jump all right, and I have that in mind, she doesn't have the easy time killing me than you think. And I have on 16 large and charge and can actually put the pressure on her, and all of a sudden she's the hunted.
No, you're completely right, Calder. The Li Ming is actually weak against Vikings. Against weak Vikings players, maybe yes, free resets. But generally speaking, first, you don't join team fights, so the reset doesn't matter. When you finally do, you actually pressure Li Ming. Every arcane orb in the direction of Vikings to defend herself is a joke. Like, you just dodge it.
Exactly. And now we have the Sylvanas on the side of mYinsanity. I was kind of expecting it to maybe being played by Virtus.pro to put the pressure on. With mYinsanity now considering a pick here, they have fair damage. They have nice interrupts also now against ETC, of course. And Sylvanas is going to help them to push while the Vikings soak the lanes.
You know, I would actually like mind control here instead of Wailing Arrow. Like, because you often go around as 4, maybe there'll be like a few people defending because they're pressured to deal with Vikings somewhere else.
When was the last time we've seen mind control in competitive Heroes of the Storm, though?
Not a whole lot.
Was it ever picked in an offline
I think maybe
tournament?
at the early stages of the release or of the rework of Sylvanas, but
I'm not sure.
not sure myself
I
either.
think there was like a Korean game right after release, but of one of the top teams against the Vika, if I remember correctly, but I'm not sure about that either.
You know, the Brightwing pick here, I like it, and I think I like it a lot because they're able to have double global with Falstad Brightwing to deal with the Vikings. But at the same time, if Greymane dives in, you also have the polymorph. Is it going to be enough heals? That's the other question. But I kind of like what their mindset here is for Virtus.pro with that last pick.
I don't like the draft.
I hate it.
I really feel that they made
Virtus.pro's draft?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, the draft itself is cool, but not against what
Exactly.
mYinsanity.
You can play the Tassadar and Brightwing, but I think against this combo it doesn't work. What they have is vision. Tassadar provides vision, so they can go Viking hunting. You could go with Brightwing and try and help out there. But overall, if you look at, for example, teamfight potential, I like a lot more what we're seeing for mYinsanity here. The double support can help the solo tank to stay alive at the front, but still, against Vikings and against the push power that all of a sudden exists for mYinsanity, I don't think this is going to do too much.
I'm not completely sold on it either. I just think that for their last support, to go with that double support, I feel like Brightwing was the right choice, at least to round out their composition, because I didn't really see anybody else fitting there. I mean,
It's just that double support, I've never seen it work against Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go into the Rhaegar right away and you're good.
Yeah.
Last game I liked the draft of Virtus.pro more, but I thought, okay, mYinsanity is just a stronger team here. This time for me it's more or less the opposite. I'm saying the draft for mYinsanity is much better and I believe they're going to take this game.
Why don't you provide us with your prediction, Calder?
mYinsanity.
All right. Grubby.
I'm going to say mYinsanity. I just want to say one thing. There's like one character that can take out Vikings on VP. All the other 4, yeah, you can split soak for a while, but no, mYinsanity.
And J-How.
mYinsanity. I can't imagine mYinsanity going out 2-0.
I'm going to go on a limb here and say Virtus.pro. I think, I'm going to be brave enough to do it this time. So Virtus.pro, they stick to their guns, they play their own style, and it worked for them in the previous map. So why can't they not do it a second time again? For now, though, let's throw it over to our casters, Tetcher and Wolf. They stand ready, and they will take you to Cursed Hollow.
Wow, what a crazy draft, Tetra, we just witnessed there on both sides. mYinsanity going again, double specialist with the Vikings and Sylvanas. Virtus.pro having a pretty solid draft until the end there where they threw the Brightwing curveball. It's really hard to say for me, actually, which draft I like better.
Yeah, but I will say just out of pure preference that mYinsanity are on some of the scariest heroes that we have ever seen them on. So allow me to introduce them for you. We have mYinsanity on the left-hand side playing the Sylvanas. He is terrifying on it. It is Darkmok playing the Greymane. He's terrifying on it. It's Nurok playing the Rhaegar. He's terrifying on it. It's Splendor playing the Muradin. He's terrifying on it. It is Blumby. And playing the Vikings, he's a god on it. It is Hasuobs.
And of course, our Virtus.pro, I'll read it through for you guys. Sevkaja again on Falstad, Unstable on Brightwing, Hydra on Tassadar, Power of Dream again on ETC, and Andy Lendy bringing up the Li Ming.
This is a scary comp from mYinsanity. Like Robbie mentioned, there is one hero for Virtus.pro who can try to hunt down those Vikings. You could technically teleport Brightwing into assist if a Viking starts to run away, but that's going to be very difficult to deal with. We'll see how well they're able to run it here.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really interesting because team fighting is what I'm really looking at here as this game goes longer. On both sides, there is a lot of delay potential, but I think it's definitely better for Virtus.pro at tributes. But what are they delaying for, you know? The soak is going to be better for mYinsanity. The longer the tribute fight goes on, the better it's going to be for mYinsanity because they have the Vikings. Hydra actually going to have to use Dimensional Shift here a bit early, and we'll have to tap, so definitely a good trade here in lane.
Oh.
As Falstad dies
Yeah,
solo.
we're going to lose Brightwing as well, actually.
Yep.
mYinsanity on the roam here. Eric coming in for the assistance, but Brightwing gets out with the speed boost.
Still, should not be happening here, especially with the Lost Vikings comp to actually be killed that early on in the game without trading in the top lane. So, huge win here for mYinsanity in the early game. You know, if I had to choose between these two teams, like if I had to give my prediction considering the drafts, I would go with mYinsanity just because of the comfort picks in a way that they have, as you mentioned. But we'll see if this double specialist works out for them. Darkmok taking a lot of damage here. Sevkaja comes up, and there's the punish, and they get the kill.
Yeah, and we just saw a bit of a mistake there by Darkmok. Oh, Tassadar, though, traded out. Once again, a one-for-one trade, but a bit of a mistake from Darkmok there. Once again, using his Haunting Wave as a harass. And then he gets punished. Falstad flies in and is just like, well, you've used your only escape. I guess we just kill you for free now. But losing Tass in exchange, Dimensional Shift, hello?
Yeah, that was kind of we didn't see it on screen, so I don't know exactly how that exchange happened, but it definitely shouldn't have happened is basically what I'm trying to get at here. We will see a quick bruiser taken from mYinsanity, which will give them some pressure as we are going to be trying to, they're going to be hoping for the spawn in the top lane here for the tribute for that first one that's going to be announced soon. Housewives will lose Baylog here, not the end of the world. Don't forget, something that hasn't been talked about all too much is the fact that Vikings will provide resets for Li Ming, so they need to be careful about that. They need to make sure they can avoid those deaths in these fights. And we actually see something we don't see all too often on Li Ming is actually Astral Presence coming out, so she's never going to have a mana issue. So she's always going to be able to have mana for these resets regardless of where a fight happens, whether or not she got picked up a globe recently. So she's going to be looking to just get those resets, drop magic missiles, drop orbs over and over and over again. And I think we'll be seeing Disintegrate as well as a result.
Yeah, more punishment attempts there coming out of Virtus.pro, not able to get Hasuobs here. But Disintegrate would be nice for Li Ming, but the extra CC could be the difference between living or dying to that Greymane. So we will have to keep an eye on what that pick does come out.
Well, this is going to be a dead fort in the bot lane, and normally with the one with the Vikings, you pick Sylvanas against them because the Vikings, when they're split lanes, can't actually deal with that heavy pressure alone. But with Vikings and Sylvanas, it's really unique because you're getting EXP in all lanes, but you're also able to do the split push pressure. Especially when we saw that rotation of the top lane where they tried to punish Olaf but couldn't get the kill. So Sylvanas got a whole fort as a result. Every rotation you make on this huge map, if you fail to get kills, you fail to get an objective, you're going to get punished for it so hard by the composition of mYinsanity.
Yep, for level 7 and about to be bossed, unless you can see the great raid from Virtus.pro, which they're going to try. The boss is not down yet. Hydra moving in, getting ready. He's going to get rooted by the boss, though. Dimensional Shift onto the point. He'll come out of the Dimensional Shift in time, tries to hold the line, takes huge damage. In comes Brightwing, trying to get to the point, but she gets stunned up and punished here. And mYinsanity begin the face roll. They begin pushing forwards. Fort, boss, and what is probably about to be the tribute for mYinsanity in very quick succession.
It's not a very important tribute, but it will be easily taken by the Vikings. They don't even have to commit, a body to take it. And during this entire boss fight, Olaf is soaking top. They're already a whole level ahead. This is how the Vikings are meant to be played. This is what the success that you can have with correctly played Vikings here. And we see HOTS, possibly the best Lost Vikings player in the world, just tearing it up right now. And this is a push with Sylvanas that's going to destroy potentially a keep wall here. The cannon's already deactivated. The boss is nearly dead, but there's so much damage being done. It doesn't matter that they commit 4 men to this lane. They don't get the wall, they get the gate only, but they're still getting EXP in all lanes while Virtus Pro is not. Sevkasha finally goes to the mid lane and is even unable to kill Eric. And Hydra gets picked off again.
Yeah, level 9 to level 7 here, currently in favor of mYinsanity. They have been able to take down a fort and this wall and most of the towers in this bot lane. The health is super low on them. They'll be able to pick those off basically at any time they want. And the thing is, they don't even have to leave this. They're already leaving due to the fact that they're a bit low on health and they don't want Splendor to use all his mana and then get engaged on. But they're still just going to use the Viking to pick up the tribute. They're just going to get ready with another bush engage here.
I'm not as familiar with Hydra's full hero pool, but it seems like his Tassadar play is definitely not as good as what we saw with his Chen in the previous game. Tassadar, a hero that usually has some of the lowest deaths, and the player who's range flex who's playing the Tassadar usually has some of the highest KDA that you see in professional Heroes of the Storm just because it's so hard to kill him. But he has 3 of the 5 deaths currently on the side of Virtus Pro, and mYinsanity is going to push this advantage hard here onto this keep. We may see a 6-minute keep. Hossab's even bringing Baylog down to join for some extra pressure. And this certainly will be a keep.
They're taking some serious damage from those arcane orbs. Shields from Tassadar trying to save it, but still having none of it. Like you said, first keep down at 6 minutes here. Incredible play by mYinsanity here. And Virtus Pro is not as quick, but they're certainly going to be having flashbacks of their previous series.
Yeah, definitely so. This game is not over by any means, but losing this keep early on is disastrous. It's one of those things where, okay, now bot lane is going to be pushed forever and ever and ever for the whole rest of the game. They still have their heroics. That extra pressure that Sylvanas puts on a lane just allows this to happen. And for Virtus Pro right now, they just have to desperately soak for 10. They need to desperately get their heroics online and try to take team fights. Yeah. They're going to get this fort, which should secure them to 10. And there is a lucky tribute spawn for them, given their current position on the map. Sevkasha doesn't even have to use his flight to be ready for that tribute.
Yeah, only one who's not there is Brightwing, and her teleporting in is actually an advantage because one, she gets the minion, so good, two, she gives the shield. So it's actually way better for Brightwing to teleport in. It looks like she will maybe be arriving soon. In fact, she has already. Moving into the backline, polymorphing here, trying to grab Sylvanas, but Darkmock having none of that. Moshpit interrupted with the Wailing Arrow, and it's a massacre by mYinsanity.
Oh man, this is so much damage here. Power of Dream also looks likely to go down. Can he dodge a Stormbolt? No, he cannot. Hydra using his dimensional shift, but he gets stunned. Perfectly timed there by Bloomby. And that's 4 dead and a free boss. And they're going to time it out with the curse.
That is incredible. mYinsanity not even taking the tribute yet. Like you said, they want to grab this boss and prepare a hit. Bloomby, though, very low, leaving, trying to punish here, trying to just drop the damage and get a sneaky kill. Nice roll by Norok there to get out. Boss and curse to mYinsanity. Olaf has just pushed the mid lane with the Bruiser camp here. Baylog is still going in the bot lane, just getting off the wall even and causing harassment. Pressure on every lane. Virtus Pro in serious trouble. They may lose Eric mYinsanity here.
No, I mean, the thing is, even though they might lose him, Hossabs is actually trying to bait them into a fight. He's also delaying them from mounting. Yeah, he's stopping them from mounting so they can't actually rotate away quickly. So he's potentially setting up for a nice engage. That Eric dismounting power that the Vikings give you is so strong. He's still soaking all 3 lanes, and with Sylvanas, this boss will likely kill the keep. They're up 3 levels. The boss is still at 90% health. And this is going to be, yet again, a fast game here, a fast win for mYinsanity. It worked out this time with a double specialist, that's for sure.
Yeah, Healing Totem was down there, giving them the sustain to push through this. The curse on the minions, meaning there's so little defense. Darkmock coming in with slight harassment, taking a lot of damage himself here, but with his haunting waves, he's so good. What? Here comes the silence. Down goes Falstad. ETC might escape. He actually will get away.
Yeah, he gets away. We saw the play again to come down to actually set up that flank, and also Sylvanas has her vulnerability talent here at 16. So powerful with that to isolate targets and blow them up. A 5-level lead here for mYinsanity. They've killed all 3 keeps. The boss is on the core, and with all of these waves pushed in due to HOTS swaps, his global presence, this should be game here. Looks like we're going to a game number 3. GG.
Wow, that was the mYinsanity we have been expecting this entire tournament, showing up once again. Now the question is, are they going to keep it consistent? Because we've seen them sort of bounce between this and what we saw in the previous game, but that was some serious mYinsanity that we have been wanting to see.
That was dominance. That was one-sided Tetcher, and it just seemed that the Brightwing pick for Virtus Pro didn't work out for them in the end. I have to say, though, I think the big weak link for Virtus Pro was Hydra. Not the best Tastar play I've ever seen, and he was feeding basically in the early game, dying to the Vikings and basically getting solo killed several times as Tastar, overextending in lane. He had 4 deaths that game.
Yeah, and the draft as well was just a huge part of this. mYinsanity taking huge control of this entire game. 11 kills to 1. The level 10 was just so much earlier as well. Like, it was 9-7 when I last looked, and then the 10s came and just everyone died again.
They had a 5-level lead at the end of the game as well. But before we get too deep on this game that ended at 9 minutes and 22 seconds, we're going to throw it over to the panelists to see what they have to say.